Let's talk about something weird that happens to a lot of us. You ever just wake up in the middle of the night for absolutely no reason? Well, today we're diving into what some call the 3 a.m. spiritual alarm.
So picture this. You're fast asleep, maybe dreaming, and then boom, your eyes are wide open. It's dark, it's quiet. No nightmare, no loud noise, you just woke up. So is that just a random thing your body does, or could it be something else trying to get your attention?
If you keep waking up between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m., stop trying to go back to sleep. It's not an accident.
You know, from a spiritual point of view, waking up like that is no accident at all. The idea is that in the spirit realm, there really are no coincidences. Every little thing has meaning. So that moment you wake up, it's significant. It's an alarm bell, trying to tell you something important.
Okay, so if it's an alarm, what's it trying to warn us about? To really get it, we need to talk about the power and the mystery of what's often called the midnight hour.
See, this isn't just any old time of night. The midnight hour, that window between 12 and 3 a.m., is believed to be a time when the veil between our world and the spiritual world is at its thinnest. It's when big things get set in motion, a time when destinies can literally be shaped, changed, or even stolen.
And this isn't a new idea. You can find it in ancient texts. There's a biblical verse, for example, that warns that while people are sleeping, unaware, that's when the most critical things can happen. It suggests it's a vulnerable time, but it also means it's a potentially powerful one.
And that's the thing, right? This time has a dual nature. On one hand, it can be a time of serious danger. Think of stories where futures were ruined in the dark. But on the other hand, it can be a moment of incredible power. Like the story of Paul and Silas, who prayed at midnight and their chains were said to have just broken. So you've got this moment of huge risk, but also of profound opportunity.
But here's a thought. What if this spiritual battleground isn't some spooky external place? What if that 3 a.m. alarm is actually trying to alert you to a war that's happening right inside your own head?
That jolt that wakes you up, it's really a call to become aware. Aware of the fact that the biggest, toughest opponent you will ever face isn't some other person or some tough situation. Nope. It's that voice in your head. It's your own self-doubt, your own fears. The biggest fight is always you against you.
And that right there is the whole game. Your mind can be your worst enemy, right? It's always whispering doubts, replaying your worst moments, telling you to just play it safe. But the second you realize you can train it, that you're in control, that's when your greatest enemy becomes your most powerful weapon.
Now, to get a handle on this inner war, we can look at the work of the famous psychologist Carl Jung. He had a name for all the parts of ourselves we try to hide. He called it the shadow. It's all our fears, our insecurities, the things we don't want to admit. But here's the catch. It's not all bad. It's also where our hidden strengths are buried. But if you ignore it, that enemy ends up running your life without you even knowing it.
All right, so we get the wake-up call and we know there's an internal battle to be fought. So what do we do? How do you actually fight back? Well, that brings us to the call to action, the discipline of awakening.
Look, if you're going to win this war, you need the right tool. So many of us wait around to feel motivated, but motivation is just a feeling. It comes and it goes. Discipline, on the other hand, that's a choice. Discipline is what makes you do the work even when you really don't feel like it. That's the real weapon.
Denzel Washington nailed it when he said, "Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship." Isn't that wild? We think the hard stuff is our enemy, but really it's comfort. Comfort is where we stop growing. Your mind gets soft when you're always avoiding a challenge. Real progress, real strength, only happens when you're willing to get uncomfortable. So, what does that look like day to day? Here's a simple framework, also inspired by Denzel's advice. 1. Start with a spiritual center, whatever that means for you. 2. Have clear goals. Know what you're fighting for. 3. Apply discipline and consistency every single day. And 4. Find a way to help others. This is like your practical battle plan for taking on that inner enemy.
But let's go a little deeper. Winning the war in your mind. It's not about killing off the parts of you that you don't like. It's about bringing them all together. It's about integration, about becoming whole. And that leads to a really tough question we all have to ask ourselves. How much of the you that you show the world is actually you? And how much of it is just a mask you wear to fit in? Jung called this mask the persona. And the more we live in that mask, the more we forget who we really are underneath.
So the ultimate goal, in Jung's view, is this process called individuation. It sounds complicated, but it's really just the journey of becoming your most authentic self. It's not about being perfect. Nobody's perfect. It's about being complete by finally accepting and integrating all the different parts of you.
And this is the big secret, isn't it? Real wholeness comes from acceptance. True strength isn't about pretending you don't have a dark side. It's about having the courage to face it, to understand it, and to bring its lessons into the light.
So where does this all lead? What happens when you finally answer that 3 a.m. call, when you win that internal war, when you walk that path of integration? What's the ultimate outcome? Well, you become truly, deeply powerful.
Now this isn't about being arrogant. This is a statement of inner mastery. This is the voice of someone who has stared down their own mind, their own demons, and won. It's the person who knows that no matter what life throws at them, they will fight, they will crawl, they will find a way, and they will win.
And it all comes down to this one single word: unbreakable. That's the result. When you master your own mind and you integrate your whole self, you build this inner core of strength that nothing on the outside can ever shatter. You become unbreakable.
So, we end up right back where we started. That sudden wake-up call in the dead of night? Maybe it's not so random after all. Maybe it's a call to action, an invitation to go on a much deeper journey. So the real question is, the next time it happens, will you just roll over and go back to sleep, or will you answer the call?
If you find this interesting, hit the red button. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel.